Growing outrage against the Department of Justice after the agency pulled tens of thousands of dollars of funding for a local chapter of the Young Marines in Louisiana. The reason, according to one DOJ official, because of voluntary student-led prayers and the word church in the Young Marine oath. Tom Dupree is a constitutional law attorney and former Deputy Assistant Attorney General under President George W. Bush, so he knows the DOJ inside and out. Great to see you.
Good to see you, Shannon.
All right, so what do you make of this? I understand it was initially a decision made by the Louisiana Law Enforcement Commission. The DOJ came and investigated, backed them up, and said money for this program for these kids is gone.
Shannon, it's a crazy decision, and it really makes you question the Obama administration's priorities, their law enforcement priorities. I think here you have a situation where, for whatever reason, there are public officials who are determined to extirpate any mention of God in the public square, and it just doesn't make any sense. It's not required by the Constitution. It's not required by the law, and I think it's crazy policy.
Well, the DOJ says it is. They worry about mingling government money with any kind of program that's going to mention the word God, and part of what this Young Marines program and the other youth program involved here, they say that they encourage kids to be involved in a church of their faith, of their choosing. It doesn't say which one, but just the fact that there is an encouragement of being involved in religion, DOJ says no dice.
Right, and I think that's wrong. I don't think that's supported by the law, and I don't think that's commanded by the Constitution. I suspect that there are people within either the Justice Department or the Louisiana government that are troubled by any mention of God, even something as innocuous as "in God we trust" or "so help me God," which are some of the most common phrases in our language that public officials say all the time in upholding their oath of office. And I think you have people who might be bothered on policy grounds by the mention of God, and what they've tried to do is transform their political opposition into a legal objection, which, at least in my view, completely lacks merit.
All right, as somebody who was part of the DOJ, what do you make of the optics of this? Because even if they were able to argue technically on legal grounds, they have a case here for stripping this money away from this group. The sheriff there says this is helping kids who could potentially get into trouble. We give them something positive to do. And the DOJ has been pretty battered as of late with, tracking reporters and doing all kinds of things. Why this decision? Do you think that they think about the PR side of it?
Well, it's a very strange battle for them to choose to engage in, and I think that what you have are people who got wind of this, and because they feel passionately that they need to get rid of any program with the slightest involvement in religion, they really push this agenda hard. And it's surprising to me, at least, as a former Justice Department official, that kind of the responsible adults at the Justice Department or elsewhere in the administration didn't pull back and say, wait a minute, this is a good program. It benefits youth. It builds character. It strengthens law enforcement. Let's let it go. So I think it's a very strange decision. My guess is that when wiser heads and saner heads and cooler heads get involved, I'm hopeful they'll ultimately prevail and this program's funding will be restored.
Yeah, and it's been a big rallying point. You and I talked about the fact that there may be private funding that flows in to make up this gap, too, because now Governor Jindal and others have got involved with trying to be supportive of what's happening there. The sheriff said, and very quickly, he said that essentially he was told he'd have to sign something that said they would not have these voluntary prayers and they would not talk about God. Is that what the Constitution says? Absolutely
not. I mean, it really is almost kind of the worst stereotypes of government bureaucracy and hard-headed bureaucrats demanding towing a party line, which in this case is wrong, unlawful, and unconstitutional. I'm hopeful that when people look at what actually happened in this case and they look at the facts, they'll say, this is not a battle we need to fight. We don't want to fight it. We're wrong on the law. Restore the money.
All right, Tom Dupree, we'll watch it and see.
We will.
Thanks so much.